Hello folks, I'm Dr. Melissa Tranquille, life coach and founder of Peak Living with Mel. What I do is that I help people who are stuck in life become unstuck. How? By empowering them for success, for any goal in their personal, professional, or business life. I'm so excited right now because what I'm going to speak about is something that concerns all of us, no exception. However, before I start, let me ask you a few questions. Do you procrastinate sometimes? Would you consider yourself a procrastinator? Would you say that procrastination is one of your bad habits? Or perhaps it's something that you make a conscious decision to battle every day and overcome? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then you are in the right place, because what I'm going to tackle is how to overcome procrastination. But what really is procrastination? Well, I guess we all know the meaning of this one. Procrastination actually comes from the Latin word pro, meaning in favor of, cras, meaning tomorrow. Procrastination is simply the act of delaying or continuously putting something off for tomorrow. Now, before I delve into procrastination, what it's all about, and how you can overcome it, let me share a procrastination story. It's a story by, let me make sure I get the name right, Shamim Rafiq. He's an international trainer. It's the story of Baby Turtle. And this story will demonstrate the impact of procrastination. Now, the family turtle, which consists of baby turtle, daddy turtle, and mommy turtle, left home one day to go for a picnic. When they arrived, they set everything up for the picnic. Everything was okay, but suddenly it seemed like it was going to rain. So, mommy turtle asked baby turtle to go home for the umbrella. Baby turtle said, "No, why don't you do it?" Because baby turtle loved relaxing. Daddy turtle gave baby turtle the stare. And I'm sure many of you who are parents can relate to what that stare is about, or how that stare looks when you give one of your children the stare for when they disobey. So, since baby turtle recognized that daddy was so angry, he decided that he will go for the umbrella, but on one condition. He said to mommy turtle, "Make sure that you don't start lunch without me." So mommy turtle reassured him, "We won't start lunch without you. We will wait for you." So baby turtle left to go for the umbrella. 15 minutes passed, no baby turtle. 1 hour passed, still no baby turtle. A day passed, a full day passes, and still no baby turtle. So mommy turtle and daddy turtle begin to wonder, what could be wrong with baby turtle? What happened? Why is he not back yet? Mommy turtle suggested daddy turtle, "Well, since he isn't back yet, we may as just eat." Suddenly, baby turtle poked his head out from behind the tree and shouted, "No, don't eat. I know you will do this. That's why I did not go, because I wanted to see what you would do." And as a result, baby turtle ruined the picnic, all because he did not take action. Now, there are 3 takeaways that we can take from this procrastination story. And one of them is this: procrastination is always about something that we know we have to do. So tell me, have you ever procrastinated about something that you're unsure about? It's always about something that you know you have to do. Can you relate to any of this? Procrastinating about your tax returns, about going for that morning jog, reading the brand new book you bought on Amazon that's sitting on your night table for a couple of weeks now. Perhaps procrastinating about starting your health regime, or even going on that family trip or that family walk. I'm sure at some point in time, we have all fallen into that category where we've procrastinated, we've put something off for tomorrow. And note well, we're not putting it off because we overcommitted ourselves. We're putting it off because it's a deliberate act of delaying it or putting it off for another day. Now, if you do procrastinate, don't go beating yourself up, because research by Steele 2007 reveals that 26% of the population are chronic procrastinators. So you are not alone. But I'm here to tell you that if you do procrastinate, if procrastination is something that you struggle with, you can overcome it. But to overcome it, you will have to first be honest with yourself. You know, some of us have bad habits and we fail to admit to ourselves that this is a shortcoming or an area for development. I hate to look at things as weaknesses. Rather, I look at it as areas for development. And change cannot happen unless you recognize that area that you have to develop and accept that change is needed. It is only then that you will be able to take the purposeful steps to make the desired changes in your life. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is to determine why you procrastinate. Baby Turtle procrastinated because he loved relaxing. But why do you procrastinate? And I'm sure if you were to reflect upon your life and reflect about some of the things that you procrastinate about, perhaps you might be able to see a trend. Do you procrastinate about that sales report or a monthly report that you have to write, and every month it is required of you and you keep putting it off for the last minute? Or are you a student who procrastinates about submitting that research paper? Or perhaps you're a work from home mom, or mom at home, and you procrastinate about going to the grocery store and you wait till the last minute when the house is empty and you really do need to get to the shops. Look into your own life, reflect and ask yourself, why do you procrastinate? Now, there are several reasons why people procrastinate, and I will not be able to exhaust all of them in this video, but let me share just a few common reasons. Some of us procrastinate because the task is challenging. It's a challenging task that we know we have to do, whether it is that research paper, whether it's an analytical document that is required at work, whether it's a business proposal, whether it's starting your own book, whether it's finally going and start to take that morning jog. It might be challenging for us in some way. So we keep putting it off. On the extreme, some persons procrastinate because it's boring. It's an activity that they don't very much enjoy. Now, if it's boring, you need to ask yourself one of two things. Or rather, I should say, you need to ask yourself this. One, is it something that you have to do? And if it's something that you have to do, then you just need to get it done. However, if something is boring, there are times that we are putting something off that is boring because it's something that we really don't need to do. So is there anything in your life that you really don't need to be doing right now? And you have been putting it off because it's boring, but it's because it's not that 20% that will give you the results that you need in your life. Why do you procrastinate? Some persons procrastinate because of a fear of failing. Have you ever had failure in your life? How did that make you feel? And a result of that failure, when you're finally faced with a challenging task, you procrastinate because you're afraid to experience those emotions again. You're afraid to feel like you're not good enough. You're afraid to feel like it's not perfect enough. You worry about what others would say. So you're afraid of failing. And that's the reason why you procrastinate. Another reason I will share is that procrastination has sometimes just become an old habit. And I like to use the example of my 12-year-old son. Sometimes he has to prepare for a test, and he would say, you know what, I'll study my vocabulary words tomorrow. And I'll stop him in his tracks right away. Because From that tender age, if he continues doing this, it will develop into a habit. The habit of, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. I'll do it tomorrow. So if procrastination has become an old habit for you, then now is the time to get rid of that old habit. It is possible to break a habit. It is very difficult to break old habits, but it is not impossible. To do so, you have to be determined to become better. You have to be determined to want to achieve your fullest potential. And research has shown that it takes 21 days, at least 21 days, to start to make a new habit. So if you were to practice for 21 days, doing the things that you need to do to overcome procrastination, you will see the steps. You will finally begin to see those steps that you are overcoming it. Now, I just want to share one thing. And that is the third reason why, or the third takeaway from the turtle story, which is procrastination not only affects yourself, but people around you. And of course, it depends on the situation. Because if you were to consider a student, then it can impact you. But yes, in a way, it does impact people around you. What about those who are looking up to you to do the best that you can do, to achieve your full potential, to exceed? And if you work in a working environment and you submit your work at the very last minute because you've always been delaying it and putting it off, you did not do as best. It is not the best quality work that you could have done. And as a result, it places pressure on your team. So procrastination not only affects you personally, but it impacts others around you. So I want to share with you right now some things that you can do to overcome procrastination. Now, I've heard some people who have said that procrastination works for them. And if you find it works for you, fine. Some persons have said that, actually putting things off for the last minute and being able to work under pressure causes them to produce their best. But let me ask you this. Don't you think there's a difference between procrastinating, deliberately delaying and putting something off for the last minute, and working under pressure? Let's consider a call center environment. In a call center environment, employees are working under pressure. When the calls come in, they have to respond to customer requests on the spur of the moment, and they have to take the appropriate action. That is working under pressure. And they are also being evaluated at how competent they are handling the issues as they arrive under pressure. But that is not procrastinating. You are deliberately putting something aside for tomorrow. So let me now share with you some of the things that you can do to overcome procrastination. And the first thing is to be clear on your why. Now, depending on the thing that you've been procrastinating, ask yourself, why is this important? Let us use a health goal, for instance. Perhaps you need to change your diet. And you need to start to do at least 35 minutes of exercise per day, or an hour exercise per day. Why is it important? Maybe there's a history of diabetes in your family. Maybe you've been to the doctor and your calorie intake is too high. Maybe your stress levels are too high. And as a result, you need to adjust your lifestyle. So when you remind yourself of why that particular thing is important to you, then you will find the will and the determination to fight that inner voice within you that whispers in your ear, leave it for later. Then you will be able to find the will and determination to just take action. So one of the first things you can do to overcome procrastination is to evaluate what is before you and try to determine why it is important. The second thing is to understand the 80-20 rule. In some instances, we focus on the 80% task and we're actually procrastinating about the 20% that really matters, that will give us the greatest result. Perhaps you have your things to do list that's high or long like a train, high like a mountain, whichever description you want to use. And you've been accomplishing the 80%, but when you look at that list, when you examine your list week after week after week, you've been procrastinating about the 20% that really matters. Whether it is beginning to write that book so you can position yourself as a figure of authority. Whether it is beginning to draft your business proposal because for years you've been talking about your dream of starting your own business. Whether it's about conducting that marketing research so that you can take your business to the next level. What is the 20% that you have been procrastinating about in your life? Only you can answer that question. But I'm very sure if you're able to reflect upon the things that you have been putting off, you will be able to see a pattern and identify how important that thing is to you and the results that it can get you in your life. Another point is, let us remember Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law was used in 1940. And it's a rule that says if something goes wrong, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So what that law proposes is this. Consider everything that you need to do, how long it will take, what you would need to get it done, and then plan the individual steps. Now, sometimes we procrastinate. I want to apply this law to this example. Sometimes we procrastinate because we are overwhelmed. The task before us is overwhelming. For example, when I worked as an assistant human resource manager, I had the task of preparing an organizational restructuring plan for the entire organization. And if you were to look at this task, it can be overwhelming because it's a complex task. But what Murphy's Law is stating, which can also be applied to the SMART method, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound, is that you need to identify how long it will take, what you would need to get it done, and to plan the individual steps. Break it down into different steps. So for instance, for the organizational restructuring plan, there will be a number of steps. Identifying what is it that management wants. Doing the necessary research. Looking at different benchmarks. And you break it down into a number of different steps, and then you begin to work on the different phases of the process. And this ties in nicely with my next example or suggestion to overcome procrastination. And that is celebrate your success. As you complete each step, each phase, celebrate that success, celebrate that small win. Some of us, we focus on the big wins, on the big achievements. We wait till our business makes its first 20,000 or 50,000 before we actually celebrate it. But it's the small wins that get you there. It's the podcast that you attended and it went on very well. It's the blog article that you wrote and you had such wonderful feedback. It is the small wins that get you to your big wins. So celebrate your success. You know, sometimes it's very easy for us to listen to our inner critic. And I like to say, catch your critic. Catch your critic when it comes to you and tell you you're not good enough, and tell you you can't do it, and tell you you're way in over your head. Stop that critic. Stop it right away in your thoughts and change your focus. Replace it with affirmative thoughts. Replace it with confidence. And in that way, you can work towards your desired goals. So, my friend, if you do struggle with procrastination, you are not made this way. It is not a behavior. It is not part of your behavior. You're not made this way. You weren't born this way. It is a characteristic that can change. It is not a character flaw. It can be changed, but it will take a deliberate effort on your part. It will take the willingness on your part to want to achieve. One thing I recommend, if you don't already do so, start with your things to do list. You don't need a fancy, expensive organization system to begin to put some organization in your life. I have my notebook, simple notebook that I buy for £1. And I plan my goals on a weekly basis, and I break it down to my daily goals. And I love to put that big red tick when I've accomplished something. At the end of the week, I can celebrate my small successes. Because it is the small successes, the small wins, the small tasks that you complete that get you to that big goal that you've set. So start with your things to do list. Start there and write down those things that you need to do. Now I can go in and I can produce a whole new video about the to-do list, which I think I will do, because there's a way to go about it. You don't want to be overcommitting yourself, because then again you find yourself overwhelmed once again. And then you find yourself in the procrastination spiral, putting it off again for another day because there's just too much for you to do. So even in setting your things to do list, you have to consider the SMART method. So I want to tell you today, my friend, if you procrastinate, stop procrastinating. How can you do it? Take it one moment at a time. One moment at a time. I don't advise one day at a time. One moment at a time. Because we battle our thoughts on a moment by moment basis. So as you go through each moment, try to become mindful of your thoughts. Become mindful of the things that you need to do, why they are important, why it needs to get done. And remind yourself and use self-talk. That is another tool to help you to overcome procrastination. I do it. I use it personally. Use self-talk. Self-talk yourself to success. A book by Cameron Atker. He has a book called Self-Talk Yourself to Success. And he provides some wonderful affirmative statements of how you can use self-talk to succeed in your weight loss goals, to stop smoking, to lose weight, to get sales. But it is important that your self-talk, and this is what he recommends, that your self-talk, it is specific, it is concise, it is in the present tense. It has to be short, specific, concise, and in the present tense. So when that negative thought comes and tells you to put this off for tomorrow, or do it later, I'll do it after, I'll do it when I complete. I'm going to get this done now because it is important. Or when the fear of failing comes, which is why you keep procrastinating, I can do all things through Christ Jesus. So I want to encourage you tonight to take the strides necessary to beat procrastination to the curb, moment by moment. You can do this and get out of the downward spiral that procrastination has been having on your life. And then at the end of the week, it makes you feel like a complete loser. When you keep seeing that the things and the goals that you have been setting, you are not getting any closer towards them. So take the strides necessary to overcome procrastination and do the things that really matter. Work on the goals that will bring you the greatest results so that you can have the life that you truly desire. I want to thank you for watching. And I want to encourage you as well to look in the description and download my thought management guide that will help you to better manage your thoughts. And also too, you can also sign up to receive a free copy of my new ebook, Uncrushed, a simple 3-step process to break negative thoughts and achieve success in any goal in life. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment. I would love to hear from you. And fight procrastination every day, one moment at a time. Thank you, and I hope to see you again. I hope you would look out for my next video. Bye.